Hey guys, so welcome to our first episode of FlowThatCash podcast. And in today's episode, we have Noel, our honored guest, and
Thank
my
you.
awesome
Thank
team
you.
member as well. So, Noel, yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, a little bit about myself. I do look young. I'm actually 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We're located in Ontario, Canada, and I've been doing about virtual wholesaling for about 8 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's been a journey. When I first started, actually the way I met Hewitt was at a real estate meetup back in August for a pretty big name. It was Matt McKeever's kind of little tribe that he got together, and we went to uh, we went to go, and then I went with a few of my buddies, my brother as well, and then I ended up meeting Hewitt. We chatted a little bit. Essentially, what I asked him, I was like, I kind of want to learn about real estate. I'm pretty new to the whole aspect of it. What can I do? And then he brought up the idea of cold calling. And initially, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I hate the idea of cold calling, sitting on a phone calling people all day. I was pretty shy, a bit nervous to be honest, to actually start calling people over over the when I first started. But
Yeah.
after I did it for a little bit, honestly, you get accustomed to it, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of no's before you get a yes. But yeah, when I first started, man, we can even play a few recordings sometime later of
Yeah.
my first few calls. But yeah, I was super shy, super nervous,
Uh-huh.
and really didn't like to talk to people. But I knew, the more I did this, the more I could go out of my comfort zone and get better and improve.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
And
So 8 months from now,
yeah.
I am speaking on this podcast, for example, a lot more
Yeah.
confident talking to people. And yeah, man, it's been a great journey.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear, man. So I guess you kind of answered a little bit about
Oh,
these
yeah.
questions. How'd you get into real estate? But before, I'm sure there's something that made you wanting to go to that
Hmm.
um, event, right?
Yeah, kind of
So
like a desire or like
yeah,
someone pulling
tell
me
us more
into.
about that.
Yeah, is really cool. So initially how I learned about real estate, I have a buddy, his name is Logan, and his
Hmm.
cousin actually is a really big real estate investor in our
Hmm.
local city, London. And his name's Mike, just for context sake. And essentially how he did it, and I was just learning about his story, and it kind of inspired me. So he was 19, same age as me. He bought his first property.
Hmm.
It's kind of like your classic rags to riches story. And he started investing at 19, bought his first property, and actually house hacked it. So he bought it, put the down payment on it, fixed it up a little bit, lived in the upstairs, I believe, and then sublet the downstairs and rented it out to some other people just to pay off the majority of his expenses.
Hmm.
And initially, like you always hear about real estate, you hear people about renting, people about buying properties, but you never really, for me, especially, I didn't really understand the whole concept until I learned a bit further about it. So essentially,
Yeah.
what he did is he kind of just continued on that path, is just, buying properties, accumulating his portfolio, and then eventually, was able to retire or be financially independent at the age of 25. So
Hmm.
it took him about 5, 6 years to actually, be financially independent and generate some wealth for himself. So I just kind of learning about that because he came from a very similar background as myself. We
Yeah.
grew up with single parents, not a whole lot of money in the family, and just kind
Hmm.
of listening to him talk about it, really just inspired me and made it kind of put in a perspective that, it is very possible, very
Yeah.
attainable to accomplish too. And
Oh,
yeah, so I just learned about his story, and he was able to invest in, I believe, 20 properties, and he accumulated about a net worth of 1 million by the age of 25, which was pretty incredible, just
yeah.
with all real estate investing. And just the idea of it, I'm like, I can really, I think it's more the freedom for me just to do whatever I want. I know
Hmm.
the time I learned about it, I was kind of in my last year of high school, so I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life entirely. I know I wanted to do something big,
Mm-hmm.
but it was hard to even conceptualize what I wanted to do with it. So I
Mm-hmm.
gave it thought. I was originally going to go to finance or into finance for school at
Mm-hmm.
Western, and then I put more thought into. I'm like, man, I could dump a lot of money into schooling, which is good, depending what you do with it, and
Yeah.
especially if it's a good degree or not. If you're getting a history degree, no, I'm not trying to bash history
Yeah.
people, but I don't know what that's gonna do for you for the most part. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
the kind of idea of real estate, building some wealth, financial independence, was
Mm-hmm.
very attractive to me when I first learned about it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'm sure the audience would love to hear about your story more and how's your
Hmm.
journey going with
Yeah,
us and with the team too, man. So now let's do this. Um, I think Noel have something in store for you guys. He's gonna teach the FTC fam something in like about 5 minutes or less. So, no, what do
yeah.
you want to
So
teach the audience today?
I think this is probably one of the most important thing when talking to sellers, and that's rapport. I know you've heard it
Mm,
probably many times, but it is really the key to succeeding in this business and building trust with the seller. So a few
and man,
things.
you were really good at it, man. We
Hmm.
got a lot of feedback from the sellers that we work with, and they
Hmm.
just know your name, man. So yeah, let's
Yeah,
tell us more.
yeah, and the best the way to think about it is if you're good at making friends, you're good at building rapport, and the best way to build a relationship or build a friendship
Hmm.
is to give and receive. So a lot of the times you want to be on the receiving end, and you want to give as well. So what I mean by that exactly is when you're talking to someone, obviously it's a dialogue, each of you communicating to each other, and a
Hmm.
lot of the times you have to be a very very active listener. People
Mm.
love to talk about themselves. So
What
for
does that
example,
mean, active listener? Yeah.
active listening, so responding. We use this uh, acronym. It's called AIR. It's
Hmm.
um, I know it's
Acknowledge. Yeah.
yeah, acknowledge. Yeah, thank you. Ignore and then repeat. So
Yeah.
acknowledging what they're saying. So just basically paraphrasing what they just said, or doing a yes or mm-hmm. Very
Hmm.
simple, like subtle things, just so that they know you're actively listening. So if I was chatting with Hewitt, I'd be like, "Yeah, that's a great point, Hewitt. Seems like you have done this quite a bit,"
Yeah.
or and then there's little parts of that you can ignore. For example, if he's saying something that I don't think is very important to our conversation,
Yeah. It
maybe
can
just
be
throw that
like
aside.
it can be like a political views, or
Yeah.
economic views that you don't really agree, but you just ignore it. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then the repeat, pretty self-explanatory. So just basically repeating, paraphrasing, essentially what they said, and just being able to listen to someone, making them feel heard and
Hmm.
understood. I think is probably one of the biggest things because people can spew all the things all day, but if you're not actually truly listening to them and then responding with a similar phrase that they said, it doesn't
Hmm.
sound like they're being understood or heard, like I said. And
Yeah.
another good aspect of it is actually Cody Sperber talks about this quite often is sharing like stories with other people. Secrets and stories is what he says.
Hmm.
So, when people talk about either a hard time that they're going through or, even like a subtle story about the one time they went to, you know, um, Hawaii for whatever
Yeah.
reason. You could
Yeah.
be like, oh, I heard Hawaii is great. Actually, my friend went to Hawaii and they said it's beautiful down there. The
Yeah.
amazing weather, the beaches were great. Just something very subtle, and they're just like that. Just gets them talking. That's the biggest thing. You want to get them talking, and you want to just listen, paraphrase, repeat, and then just respond with a little something. I find works the best because
Yeah. Because
there's
I
the
think
80/20.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the 80/20 rule, 80% of them talking and 20% of us talking. So
Hmm.
that other, I guess, 80% of that conversation, you are listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just subtle like secrets, or especially when it gets into those, because a lot of the times in this business we're dealing with people who
Mm-hmm.
are going through troubling situations, are
Yeah.
distressed,
Mm-hmm.
and we're here to help them out and solve their problems, is essentially what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to do that is just let them listen to their situation, and then provide
Yeah.
solutions. So for example, there's this one lady, you'll know her. She was the Fayetteville lady.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so essentially what it was, she was going through a hard time. She was a bit low on funds. She had a balloon note, and she was basically crunched for time in order to sell her house. So she had a specific date. I think it was like June 22nd. She had to sell, or something around there,
Mm-hmm.
and she was basically stressing out. She was like, "I don't know what I'm going to do with this house. I need to sell it." And that's where kind of we came in. It was kind of interesting. The first time I cold called her, it was the wrong lead, but it was on the same street. It
Mm.
was
Okay.
only a few down. I was like,
Yeah.
we were trying to get a hold of the homeowner at such and such. And
Yeah.
then she was like, "That's not me, but I am looking to sell the property." So call it fate. But I ended up chatting with her, built some really good rapport with her.
Yeah.
And actually, a few days later, we got her under contract. And that was my first good deal that I ended
Yeah.
up doing with the company. But yeah, back to the point, I don't think I could have really done that without building a very strong trust with her, building the
Yeah.
rapport, and
I think
like,
it's very important, right, for other people
mhm.
to do business with you. They're gonna, know, like, and trust you,
Yeah,
and it's
Jerry
just.
Norton talks about that all the time. He says, people work with others that they know, like, and trust. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
a really good point. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think rapport building is probably the best way to get people to
What?
obviously trust you. And
How did you get started on that? Did you read a book? Did you do
actually
some
is
training?
interesting. You lent me Seven Habits of Highly Effective People,
Mm-hmm.
and one quote that kind of really stuck with me is, "People, you have to seek to understand before being
First,
understood."
before,
Yeah.
yeah,
So obviously, when you're talking with people, if you're trying to be understood, you can't just blabble all the
yeah,
time and not really listen to what other people are saying, because it's going to be bashing of the heads. If you're trying to be understood the whole time, you're really not listening to what the other people are saying. It's like whenever you get in an argument, you're saying your point, they're saying their point, and at the end of the day, if you're not understanding the opposing people's points, you're not really
yeah,
getting to the end of the argument. You know,
yeah. It's
and
it's it's like one third of the communication. It's just the things coming out of your mouth, but
yeah,
the thing
yeah,
that landing into
exactly.
the ear and the thing that digesting what is being said, it's yeah. If that's missing, then yeah, there's
Yeah,
there's a
definitely,
there's
definitely.
a disconnect somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, for
Okay,
sure. So, Seven Habits of
awesome.
Highly Effective People, I read, and it
Yeah,
was really good, just understanding kind of situations when chatting with people and putting into, I guess, perspective of ways you should, or it's
yeah,
better to communicate with people without conflicting with them.
yeah, yeah. So guys, yeah, it's ha-
Seven Habits of Highly
seven
Effective
habit
People.
of highly effective people by
Yep.
Stephen Covey.
Covey. Yep.
Covey. Yeah,
Covey.
yeah, yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Well,
Hmm.
thank you, Noel. I think the audience learned a lot. Yeah, let
Yeah.
me know in the comments if you guys learned something new or any thoughts and opinion. So
Hmm.
yeah, man. We kind of close towards to the end. How does the audience can connect, get in touch with you, and ask you more questions and
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
more about the story, man?
Yeah, I would love to get in touch with as many people as possible. So you can contact me at my IG. It's on the screen there. It's Noel dot
Mm-hmm.
Giesen, my last name
Mm-hmm.
Giesen. And yeah, just
Cool.
send me a quick DM on Instagram, and I'd love to reach out to you.
Yeah, man. Awesome, awesome. Well, that concludes our first episode of the Flow That Cash podcast. Guys, I hope you learned a lot. And
Hmm.
yeah, let me know how we can improve, who you want to be, who you think that should be on this, and yeah, let me know in the comment. I would love to get in touch with everyone, even you. If you would like to be part of the podcast, please reach out. Let me know. Join our Facebook groups at the bottom. It's FlowThatCash Facebook group. We would love to connect with you and share what we know, and share the wealth, and so that we can all, reach our full potential. And
Hmm.
yeah, thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Awesome. See ya.